I just want you to feel seen and understood, whatever your circumstances are, motherhood or not. Um, maybe it's running a business outside of your full-time job or things like that as well. Um, it's similar challenges. And so maybe you can take take away some things from my experience to be like, hey, that makes a lot of sense why I'm struggling with this. Or that's how I can maybe reframe it in my head, or this is how I can maybe utilize what I have to make my life feel a little bit simpler. Hello, 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 and welcome back to our second of the email diary podcast thing series. So, excuse me, if you're listening on the podcast, then this is technically not a podcast episode, but I'm putting it on the podcast since you're here and I haven't been podcasting. So that's why there's not the intro and the outro. But essentially, if you missed the first one of this, the last video, audio, however you're listening to this, the idea is I am essentially recording what I want to say in my emails, except for, um, well, I'm not thinking it out as much, but I'm not trying to make it as perfect because I can spend so much time on the emails fleshing through everything. And there will be more side tangents because that's what I do. That's part of why I love podcasting. And, there's a part of me who's like, I definitely do question, like, is that what's best for you? Do you enjoy that? Is that taking away from the value? I don't know the answer. Feel free to chime in. You can use the number. So my podcast hosting platform, they have where I don't even remember the name of it, where anyway, you can send a text message and I receive it and get your thoughts on it. Anyway, so it's a little bit, longer than reading an email, but I also include the summaries in the email too. So, as far as feedback from the first one, well, to be honest, there's not that many people that responded to the poll. So I'm taking the results a little bit with a grain of salt, but it was about 50-50. 50% of people really liked it. 50% of people were either on the fence or, you know, just read the email or whatever, which is fine too. And so, yeah, I'm kind of thinking of continuing sort of with it this way. And also, or maybe when I feel like it, I don't know. But I'm not sure that it's as beneficial for my other brand for Snickerdoodle Knits. Excuse me. I'm probably going to have to cut out some coughs, which is going to be extremely annoying. Anyway, yeah, I really liked being able to like show the knits and stuff, but it was so much more time consuming because I still had to pull all of the links for everything and all of that stuff. Another thing is like I tried to um, publish the videos and the email at the same time, but the problem with that is I was wanting to use AI to just pull the transcript and write the summary for me. Because the point of this is that it's supposed to be easier for me. And actually, we'll get into more about that in this episode, letter, diary, entry, whatever you want to call it. Um, and because the video wasn't published yet, it couldn't pull the transcript. And so then I ended up having to kind of write the email anyway. But like more so than polishing up from AI. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at with the email diary series. Also, obviously, it's been a couple weeks, which was not intentional, and it is 100% because we've been sick. um, yeah, it's been long, and I don't know. we're at over 2 weeks now, and the little one just got sick this over the weekend. So we'll see how much longer it is. Um, anyway, today I wanted to talk about the three hardest parts of mompreneurship so far for me. So Minnie just had a birthday, so I have officially been a mom for a year, or been caring for a child in, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Basically, not inside of me, on the outside for a year now. Um, and yeah, what does that look like as an entrepreneur who used to have sort of unlimited time in a sense? There never was enough time. There never is enough time for all of the things. But going from that to now being a mom, and what have been the biggest challenges? Because I'm not going to lie, it definitely has had its challenges, 1,000,000%. And so I'm sharing this episode as, first of all, if you are in a similar situation, whether it is because you're a new mom, whether you're a seasoned mom, whether you have chronic illness, whatever the reason, maybe you're caretaking for family member, something like that. I just want to acknowledge that you're not alone. I want to share, my experience. And this is definitely not meant to be a complainy kind of thing at all, but just more of a realistic, like, hey, this is what life looks like. This is what it looks like as a mompreneur. These are the challenges. This is what I've learned from it. And what are kind of the positive things that I'm taking away from it, or what are the helpful parts, I guess. So, number one, first and foremost, definitely the hardest part has been comparisonitis. Going into, motherhood, I knew, obviously, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be not going to still look the same way, running a business with a little one as it would on my own, especially as the primary caretaker. I did think that my partner was going to have more flexibility to help with the kiddo, because he also works from home, and that was not the case. And so that was something to work through. But I knew it was challenging, but there's all these stories out there, these people who built their 6, 7, 8-figure businesses with a baby in their lap and yada, yada, yada. And so I'm like, okay, even though it's challenging, I know I can do hard things. If they can, build an 8-figure business with a baby in their lap, then, obviously I can keep my business going, right? Like it won't be impossible. And yeah, so coming back, like I sort of kind of took a maternity leave for the first few months. And that was definitely the hardest part. Coming back was this expectation that I was going to be able to get work done. And it felt nearly impossible. So what I learned from that is, well, not everybody is in the same circumstances, and not everybody has the same resources. So a lot of times those people that, are talking about their mega success, specifically as new mothers, as new parents, they often have resources. So they're not watching their kid 24/7 while they're running their business. Maybe they have family members, a partner, grandparents, a nanny, or maybe babysitting, whatever. A lot of times they have some of those resources, which really kind of changes the situation. And some people have babies that sleep a lot more than other people. So around that time in particular, in the first several months that I was really back in my business, Minnie was, taking 20, 30, maybe 40-minute naps. And it was just long enough to, catch my breath, get a drink of water, get a snack, and start to work on something. And then he was awake again. And so felt extremely frustrating to not be getting anything done. And then I'd have friends who like their kids would nap for 2 hours, and I'm like, what even is this? I have a kid who naps for 20 minutes. Now that has changed as he's gotten older, and that has definitely made things a lot easier. I still don't have a lot of time, but I have a lot more than I used to have. And having an hour to work instead of 20 minutes is a totally different scenario. Having an hour and a half is even better, and 2 hours is like a miracle. It's amazing. Now the thing is that it does feel like, well, actually, I want to put this in the next part. Anyway, um, those those moments aren't guaranteed. Those 1 hour naps, sometimes fade away. Um, so for me, that's been my situation. Obviously, every baby's different. Some babies sleep better when they're little and then not as well when they're older and things like that. But um, yeah, and then like so yeah, this not everybody has the same circumstances. Not every baby sleeps the same amount of time. Not every, you know, well, and even like how much attention babies require. Some babies are much more content to play on their own and, um, watch their mobile or whatever. Mine was not that way. And as the older he got, the worse it got. Um, not, yeah, not that it's a bad thing that he wants me to play with him, but um, I, yeah, as he got older, he definitely wanted me more and more and more with him. Now he's getting to the point where he is getting a little more independent again. Um, but it's still challenging because as soon as he sees a computer or a phone or something, he wants to be doing what I'm doing. But it makes it easier for chores, things like washing the dishes or cooking food or doing laundry. Like he'll just wander around on his own and play with stuff. Eventually he gets whiny and he wants me to pick him up. But like that seriously makes such a big difference for me. So I guess I'm also recording this for folks who are expecting to be mothers soon or hoping to be mothers soon, to share like just a little bit of real life expectation. A lot of people, you know, oh, I could go on a whole nother rant about this. I won't. A lot of people talk about once your kid is mobile, once they're crawling, once they're walking, like it's the end. Like your life is going to be so much more difficult. It's blah, 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 all this stuff. I have not felt that way personally. Um, and I kind of had this gut instinct as knowing my baby, that it wasn't going to be that way because he loves to move around. He wants to has always wanted to be constantly moving around, jumping on his legs, me walking him around, whatever. And now that he's able to do it on his own, he doesn't need me to do that for him. And so in a lot of ways, I feel like that actually, um, like he's able to make himself, I don't know, I guess independence is the right way to word that. He's able to fulfill that need of his on his own a little bit more. Um, so yeah, number one is definitely the comparisonitis, all the stories out there of these successful people who, like, oh, you can definitely build a business with a baby and all of this stuff, and babies are so easy to take care of and all of that. Yes, obviously you can. There's lots of stories out there. And at the same time, maybe don't have that expectation, that pressure on yourself. For me, I was like, I already have a business. Like I already have stuff going on. Like I don't have to build from scratch, all that kind of stuff. I was trying to pivot a lot of stuff though. And yeah, working in 20-minute increments twice a day which is really challenging. One of the biggest things, let me see. Um, yeah, I don't really have a spot for it in my list, but one of the biggest things in having such small increments of time, even now that he's often sleeping an hour for his naps, um, is the larger vision casting I find to be much more challenging because trying to just put all the pieces together, think about everything in the big picture, how the pieces fit in. And that is such an important piece to even know what direction to take, what tasks to work on, what's the most important thing when you don't really have that full picture direction. So yeah. Okay, number two, most challenging part of mompreneurship for me has definitely been not being able to bulk create my stuff. And I have always been a big fan of bulk creation. I'm an ADHDer. I love to hyper focus on things. I love to take side quests and do all the random things. Um, and so being able to bulk create my marketing content, my emails, my social media, all that kind of stuff was like game changer because I could spend 1 week every month, get it all done, hyperfixate on that, and have it out there and ready to go. And then I could spend the rest of the month doing, working on projects, working on stuff for the membership, working on all of the different things, pattern design, all that kind of stuff. And I didn't have to be worried and focused on my marketing stuff, my emails, my social media, which I haven't done social media in very much in a long time. But um, yeah, not being able to bulk create that now because I don't have just, big chunks of time to just sit down and knock it all out. Um, it means that I end up writing all of my emails essentially right before I send them. Maybe I'll schedule it a day or two ahead if I'm lucky. Um, but a lot of times it takes me multiple days through multiple nap times to actually get the email together and sent out. And well, I have two email lists, so to get both of them sent out, I feel like I spend half of my time working on just doing emails, like my email newsletter emails. And it gets really boring, it gets really frustrating for me. Just doing the same thing week after week and feeling like it takes so much time. And it doesn't leave much room for those side quests. So that is, that's a big part of why I'm trying this email diary series stuff is because those emails have been taking me so long. So if I can record essentially an email in one nap time, or if he takes a longer nap, I can record both of my emails in a nap time and then get everything polished out up to send out in the second nap time. That takes, a quarter of my week instead of half of my week. So that's my goal. Last time it definitely still took quite a long time. And I think that's a matter of really honing down my system here. But yeah, so if you're listening to this and you do have the time to bulk create, that is why I love it so much. If you, I do a lot of that for my membership as well for Pattern Design Circle. I have been able to still do some of that. The thing is, I do find I spend a lot of my time on these smaller tasks because they feel more fulfilling. It feels like I'm actually making progress. So it's been a lot easier to do bulk creation on really small things like scheduling out like for the full focus weeks. So every quarter we have the beginning of the quarter, we have a focus week to get kickstarted on the week, really in focus and, lots of energy. And then the middle of the quarter, we have a focus week that's all about, all right, let's pick up our, keep our momentum going, or if you feel like you've kind of dropped the ball on a few things, let's pick things up again and get back on track with our goals. And then the end of the quarter, we have a focus week that is all about, okay, let's finish this stuff up. Even if things feel like they've kind of been a mess, let's pay attention to what our most important things are and what feels most important from our goals and finish strong on that. So that kind of stuff, I can put together those emails in advance all at the same time and schedule those out. Or like the creativity burst, like this week is the quarterly creativity burst where I share a design prompt every day. So you end up with at least seven new designs from the creativity burst to just infuse your business with a bit of, creativity, excitement about new design ideas, something from a unique perspective. And yeah, I can create those prompts in advance and schedule them out. So I still do have some book creation stuff. I love that still. But anytime I get focused on that, I spend several days on it across several nap times. And then it takes away from my emails. It takes away from my marketing. So it is constantly this push and pull between my marketing and what I tend to think of more as the fun stuff. This is Jessica from slightly in the future. I just finished recording and realized that I didn't share this little piece that I had, alluded to and said I was going to talk about a little bit more, and then I never did. So that is the whole things getting disrupted, whether it is everyone being sick, like we're going through right now, or going through something like teething or growth spurts or something like that, where it's like your whole world is kind of flipped up for a few weeks, flipped upside down for a few weeks, primarily maybe because of fussiness and sleep. That can also be really challenging because it's like, for right now, for us being sick, I wasn't feeling up to working, and then my partner wasn't feeling up to working, and then I end up, oftentimes I've been sleeping while Minnie is sleeping, and so then I'm sleeping during my work time instead of getting work done. Things like that. Like and when you only have a few hours a week to work and you lose those hours, it really does. It adds to things feeling more drawn out, feeling, slow. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and say that as well. Like I see you when we have these things that kind of just disrupt, and obviously that happens to everybody. I've definitely had that in the past too. It just feels like it's maybe a little bit more amplified or magnified when the time pockets are so limited. So I see you, and yes, it's challenging. But we keep going. We keep, once we're able to get back into things, we get back into things, and it is what it is. And I do, worry or feel bad about maybe kind of what has been a lack of consistency on my part, in emailing and podcasting and showing up for you. And also, sometimes we just go through phases. We learn and grow as we go, and it is what it is. And, it's a phase. So, yep. Okay. I see you, and I'll let you get on with the rest of this, but I had already recorded. Um, And then number 3, one of the most challenging parts. I'm trying to think if these might all be pretty equally challenging. Number 1, the comparisonitis might be the most, but I don't know. The rest of these are all pretty equal. So it's not necessarily from most to least challenging. But number three is the whole challenge of trying to have live calls or scheduled calls, or well, yeah. So like if I'm scheduling like a guest podcast episode, um, it's not live for you when it's on the podcast, but I'm recording it live with somebody else. Um, those kinds of things are extremely challenging for me because his schedule is not, it's still a bit fluid, and it might always be fluid because they say like by now technically he can have naps at the same time every day or whatever, and sometimes it just doesn't work that way, or it never really works that way. Um, and so um, it's and then if he is awake for a call, he wants to be in the middle of it. And my partner and I, we have chosen we don't want his face on the internet, um, for his own safety. And so he wants to be in the middle of everything that I am doing. So even when he was really little and I was baby wearing him, he still wanted to be turned around and looking at the computer while I'm recording. And that just doesn't work for us. And so, I can maybe have 5, maybe 10 minutes of him entertaining himself beside me while I'm talking to the computer. But then he's extremely fussy. He wants to be with me. And even when he's with me, he gets fussy quickly too, because it's not that exciting for a baby to just be watching the computer, and yet he wants to be in the middle of it. So that has been very, very challenging for me. I love having guests on my podcast. I, love having the networking guests inside Pattern Design Circle, all these kinds of things. And I still don't really know exactly how to schedule that. It's also kind of kept me back from doing more one-on-one coaching, because that can be challenging as well. I know that a lot of people are very understanding of having a little one there and everything, but I just know that I'm not as present when I'm worried about him. I'm not as hyper focused on you, and that's what I want for you. So that actually means I'm highly, highly, highly considering changing my coaching packages from being live calls to being Voxer. So Voxer is an app where you send voice messages back and forth. They can be text messages as well. So it's not like in the moment back and forth, but it can still be the back and forth. So that's one way that I'm thinking of solving that solution. And then my bonus difficult thing, because I said it was supposed to be 3, but it's also kind of just because of all of these things. It Everything feels so slow. Excuse me. Yeah, because, I went from having 40 plus hours a week to work on my business to now, like 4 hours a week, maybe more like 8 hours a week. It varies a lot based on what I'm doing with him. Like every week we go to swim lessons, and so one of those naps is in the car. And then when we have play dates, a lot of times he'll nap in the car. And so then when he naps in the car, I don't have that time to work in my business. So like this summer, I've been trying to be, well, until we got sick, do more things at the library and play dates with friends and all that kind of stuff. And so then that means that I have even less time for my business. So theoretically, I probably could have 10 hours a week, but in reality, it's not that much. So yeah, having so much less time, it feels like everything is so slow. And when that time is broken up into all these small chunks, like if I were to have, say, 2 5-hour days where I'm, working 5 hours solid, it's our brains scientifically have a much easier time getting more done because we're not having to switch from one thing to another and go back and forth between tasks. So, um, yeah, that's been the challenges for me as a new mom. I definitely do feel like I'm more in my groove now than, you know, even say 5, 6 months ago. Um, but yeah, it still has its challenges. There are still things where it's, especially because I'm such a hyper fixer. Um, I I get into a project during nap time and then he wakes up and I'm like, oh, I just want to finish it. But it's all good. I love being a mother. I I do feel like well, I'm going to talk more about this in future episode, but um especially with everything going on in the world these days, uh I feel like I really want my work to be meaningful and impactful. And when I have so little time, I want what I'm putting out into the world to actually make a positive difference, to actually be helpful for you. Um, and where was I going with that? Oh, just that I guess um it feels really important that I'm doing something meaningful. And it just like it kind of hit me, I guess, the other day where it's like actually what feels the most important to be meaningful right now in my life is taking care of this other human and raising somebody who is compassionate and who is kind and caring and thinking about other people and who feels confident in themselves and is able to, face the challenges of life as he grows up. Um, and so that is something that's very, very special to me. To have that kind of impact, to feel like it is meaningful work. But anyway, so the again, I don't say any of that to be complaining. I don't say, any of what I've shared so far about the challenges of motherhood. It's not to be negative or complaining or any of that kind of stuff. It's to be real and to be like, hey, like if you're going through this, I see you, I understand, I'm here with you. There are definitely parts that are challenging, and I think we definitely see both the really negative and the really idealistic, or the really, I don't know, parts of all of this on social media. We see the people who are like, oh yeah, you can build an 8-figure business as a, brand new mom. And we also see a lot of motherhood's the worst thing. It's so challenging. It's blah, 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 all this stuff. And yes, there's challenges. Everything in life has challenges, but I definitely don't want to fall into that camp of like, um, I don't know, pushing kind of this fear and negative rhetoric on other people, whether they're wanting to become mothers, whether they are expecting mothers, whether they are new mothers, whatever it is, because that definitely um, got to my mentally as an expecting mom. It just felt so depressing. All these people were like, it's, miserable and all this stuff. And while there's difficult pieces, yes, I don't think motherhood is miserable. um, and yeah, you've got this. Anyway, so all of that, like I said, challenges, I just want you to feel seen and understood, whatever your circumstances are, motherhood or not. Maybe it's running a business outside of your full-time job or things like that as well. It's similar challenges. And so maybe you can take take away some things from my experience to be like, hey, that makes a lot of sense why I'm struggling with this. Or that's how I can maybe reframe it in my head, or this is how I can maybe utilize what I have to make my life feel a little bit simpler. So my two things that I feel like have been good or helpful as a mompreneur is um, number one, being more aware of where my time is going and where time is being wasted. Um, And just realizing so much my agency to decide where that time goes. There's a lot of my time that I don't really have that much agency over. I still obviously like I direct the activities. I like if I don't want I don't know. He doesn't get to just choose if we're going to the library or not. He's not quite to that age to be able to tell me that. Um, but when I have that time that is mine right now, nap time, I am choosing, I'm calling the shots on where that time's going. And it can be really easy maybe to pop into the email or pop onto social media or, do something just to like, um, oh, what's the word I'm trying to think of? But basically to kind of like reset, recalibrate, let go a little bit. And sometimes you do want to kind of waste time in the sense of like zoning out and doing something mindless. But I've been super aware of, okay, is that something that's actually like helping me in a mental health, life balance kind of way? Because sometimes, yeah, like a mindless game or something like that, it does, or texting friends back or something like that, it can help me just feel better about myself or just feel a little more balanced. But then there's sometimes when that kind of thing is, all right, that's just a waste of time. It's keeping me from my goals. It's keeping me away from the things that actually I would feel a lot better about doing, spending my time on. So it's been good that way in being like, all right, I know that I probably don't have more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half right now. And scrolling on Instagram for an hour probably isn't what I want to do. So what do I want to do instead? Um, Something else that has been good for me, and I know this is so controversial, it makes me a little bit nervous to share it. But if you're on my email list, you already know I already had a whole email about it a couple months ago, maybe. Has been using AI. And yes, I totally understand why so many people don't like it. There are absolutely parts that I don't agree with, things that I think that even if we choose to use AI, we can continue to advocate for what we think is important. And even if we don't choose to use I don't think that this feels like such an important, big, huge technological thing that it's not going to stop if we boycott it or anything like that. And so anyway, it has been extremely helpful for me in getting things accomplished. So whether it's like, all right, I have 20 million ideas in my head. I think I should do this, but I also really want to do this. And I have this idea, and I want to do everything all at once, but I don't have time to do all of this. It is helpful just to be able to talk it out. It's kind of like talking it out to a coach or somebody. But so many times, at least for me, when I'm talking things out, I kind of realize like, okay, this is like where I am feeling obligated to do something because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I really know I should be doing in order to achieve my goals. This is like a side tangent that's just distracting me. And if I follow that, sure, it's going to be fun, but at the end of it, I'm going to be like, why did I just waste my time doing that kind of thing? So sometimes it's, speaking it out clarifies it for myself. Sometimes it's, a little bit of back and forth discussion that clarifies that. And it makes it easier for me to go ahead and put together my priority list. My like, okay, this is really what I want to focus on. This is what my priorities are. These are the tasks to get there. And a lot of times what I feel like, especially right now, been going on is like I'll put together my priority list and then I'll be like, oh, but I really want to do this. Oh, but I feel like I need to do this. Oh, but and I have all these things that like want to kind of disrupt that list. And so when I talk it out with AI, it's like, okay, I see you. This actually does feel important according to your mission, your purpose, your values, all of these things. This will, you know, whatever. Or it'll be like, this feels like it's a big distraction. Or it'll be like, hey, here are 3 different paths you can take forward. What feels the most aligned? And then it's really obvious. And it's like, okay, this is the one that really feels good in my heart. So I personally have found that really helpful. Also for things like I mentioned, pulling a transcript and writing a summary, uh, teaching it my voice so that it can write emails somewhat. I'm not still 100% impressed um, with a lot of the stuff, but sometimes I'll be like, okay, here's like my brain dump. Here's everything I want to write. And it's going to take me, 5 nap sessions to get this tweaked to what I feel like I should actually share with my audience. Send it to AI and it gets 80% of the way there in 3 minutes or whatever. So that kind of thing I have found very helpful. What else have I used it for? I actually used it some for like meal planning. So my partner and I have a very different kind of taste palette-wise. Well, not always, but sometimes. And then, trying to also feed a now toddler and all these things. And when it feels like there's just so much going on, I've never, well, it's been several years since I've loved meal planning, just because it feels like it's hard to come up with new things that sound good. Anyway, so I have used it some for that kind of thing too. But like I can't deny the fact that using AI, and I only use ChatGPT. I honestly haven't done, like my research on all the different platforms and what's best. I just know that lots of people use ChatGPT. And there's lots of like business owners who have like the custom GPTs you can use and stuff like that, which I use some of as well. I still only use the free plan, but I am thinking of getting the paid plan because I have some ideas to help you do things much quicker and more easily. Anyway, so yeah, I think I understand the arguments against AI, but I feel like it is so helpful for those of us who have a lot of things on our plate or who um, just don't want to spend all of our time doing things that we don't love or who love what we're doing but want more time for other things as well. Um, it's a very, very powerful tool to move us toward more work-life balance, especially perhaps here in the US where we have such a hustle work culture. So yeah, that's been my experience this year. What's been helping me, what's been kind of the positive spins out of it. I just started using ChatGPT in like February, I think it was, because I had joined a couple of free challenges, and so I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out because this is what it's all about. Um, yeah. So if you have any questions at all about any of that, if you're a new mom, if you're an expecting mom, if you're a seasoned mom, and you want to share your thoughts, go ahead and reach out. You can reply to my email. You can send a message through the message thing that's linked at the bottom of the description here. And I hope this helps you feel seen, hope it helps you feel not alone, and also have some hope and optimism. Maybe see things a little bit differently than other people are sharing online. And I want you to know you've got this. You are doing amazing things. There is so much brilliance and beauty stored within you, and that's worth sharing with the world. And whatever that piece looks like, whatever, however, the timeline, whatever the timeline looks like, it's going to be amazing, and to trust that. And yeah. I just realized one more thing that's been a game changer for me this year, thinking about it, because I'm thinking of you listening to this episode, and my work in general has been listening to things on like 1.5, 2x speed. I know like right now, I feel like I'm speaking very slowly. So I hope that you already have figured out that you can listen to me at 2x and it goes much faster. And that is such a huge time saving thing. Um, for me when I'm listening to a lot of this different kind of stuff. So anyway, sending you big hugs, positive energy, and sunshine. And I'll catch you on the next one.